Muy buenas a todos y bienvenidos a un nuevo podcast de Wall Street Panda. En esta vez estamos hablando con Aatu Kokkila, gestor de FINBOU AG y uno de los mejores traders de DARWINEX, con un 571% acumulado y más de 6 millones de euros bajo gestión. Además, ha sido recientemente galardonado con el premio al mejor trader de Forex. Así que vamos a conocerlo y a ver qué nos cuenta. Esta vez la entrevista va a ser en inglés, así que si no entendéis inglés, por favor, encender los subtítulos para entender todo lo que vamos a hablar en esta entrevista. Así que sin más, vamos a presentar a nuestro invitado y a ver qué se cuenta. Hi Aatu, thank you so much for coming to this interview. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ivan. Thanks for having me. I'm doing really well. It's a big pleasure to join you.
Yeah, I'm glad to having you here today. So first of all, could you please tell us a little bit more about you and how long have you been doing trading?
Sure. I've been trading close to 10 years now, about 3 years trading my own accounts for a living, then 7 years managed accounts, or 6 years actually managed accounts, and 2.5 years we also had usage hedge fund running on parallel with the managed accounts, and obviously the Darwin has been alive since 2017. We've been trading there as well, and yeah, now I guess we are consolidated in a way at DARWINEX and Capriva, so that's our current setup. We are only an investment advisory, so the asset manager is actually DARWINEX and Capriva nowadays.
Okay.
So I guess it's like a quasi hedge fund what we are doing.
That's interesting. Tell us a little bit about your history. How do you started in trading? How you learn how to trade, and how long took you for starting to be profitable?
Well, I think I had a background in video gaming, so I played World of Warcraft when I was a teenager, and I got to I became really good at it, and that's pretty much how I spent my teenage years, because it took a lot of commitment. Luckily, back then it wasn't esports wasn't such a big thing. Otherwise, I would have probably stayed at that road. So I'm obviously happy that I took the trading took over, but I think it was back in 2011 when I was in the army in Finland. You have a mandatory military service, so I heard from a friend about trading. He had started trading, and he suggested some trading books like Market Wizards, and yeah, I mean, he said that you probably would be good at it because you were good at gaming, and there's a lot of parallels in gaming and trading. So I read the books. I started trading actually from the get-go with my own money, because I made a little bit from teaching people to play World of Warcraft. So I stopped obviously gaming before the military service, and yeah, I applied to business school and got in, I started trading on parallel. And actually, I got profitable quite fast. I was incredibly lucky. It was really good market with the European debt crisis. There was a lot of volatility. So even though I didn't have any idea what I was doing, I was well not profitable from the get-go, but it didn't take long. And yeah, obviously I traded with huge swings, huge drawdowns, but it was enough to sort of fund my living.
That's interesting when you're talking about your experience in World of Warcraft. If I'm not wrong, you actually were one of the top 5 players in the world. I don't know if that is correct. What are the transfer skills you think you have taken from it that has been useful for trading?
Yeah, I think we were at the point in 2007 or 2006. We were like number one in World of Warcraft. You have like a 3 versus 3 team and 2 versus 2 team, and you kind of like calculate a rating based on that. And we were I think number one at the stage with my team partners. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot that I think I learned a lot intuitively from gaming. Like for example, I watched videos. I wasn't the best player from the get-go. Obviously, I watched videos how the other better players than me played, and I really wanted to get really good. I was obsessed about it. I was thinking about it all the time, and I watched those videos. I kept improving what I did, and kind of like intuitively I grasped that that's how you get good. And then I started figuring. Once I played enough, I watched the videos. I started figuring out things others hadn't figured because I started having the necessary experience to do that. So I think now that is quite conscious nowadays with trading. It's really the same process that first I started by studying, people who were much more experienced and better than I was, learning and thinking of a trading style that fits me. And from there, I kind of started with fundamental. I am aware of technicals as well, and I'm aware they are not hocus pocus. But I started with the fundamental grasp from early on, and I found out things after a while on the news trading side that I thought that others hadn't exploited, and it was kind of the similar process as with gaming, though it became conscious. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of parallels. I could talk for hours about the topic.
Tell us a little bit about your history from you started to be profitable until how you landed in FINBOU AG and what FINBOU AG is nowadays.
So from 2012 to 2014, I traded over basically my own accounts only, and I realized I had read a lot about trading, and I realized that I couldn't trade with such high drawdowns that I had, and it's not, you need to have a professional track record. And I had already studied news trading, and in particular central bank monetary policy announcements and political announcements. I realized that they moved the FX market most. So I figured out that if I create a strategy around trading those, I do my research, kind of like in equity trading. In a similar way, I research what banks think about the event and what they expect, and I already figured that there are sort of mispricings in events back in 2014, I think, and yeah, I established a track record in 2015, which the market environment was incredibly good back then to trade central bank announcements, and I obviously had a strong track for 2015, and I was approached by my current partner Gianluca Carolo, to create managed accounts for investors to sort of invest on the strategy, and that was something that I kind of had dreamed about from the get-go, that I wanna, after reading about it, I wanna have the goal is to have investors and trade the money and make money for the people as well.
In this regard, how many people are right now working in your team? Are you the two of you? You have a team of traders. How is FINBOU AG working nowadays?
So at the moment we have 3 people. Gianluca, he's responsible for fundraising and obviously the operations of the company and regulation. And then we have my cousin who is working as a research analyst. He has a background in politics major, and he's mainly helping with the research and also during the trade decision making, in a way that he reads the central bank statements, double checks the language, does all that. There's a lot of going on in a news announcement, so his work is highly valuable during those.
And also, after being in FINBOU, you have been recently awarded with the Edge Awards 2022 for the best currency trader for 5 years. What does it mean for you to receive this award, and does it has changed anything?
Well, I don't think it's changed anything. We were very excited and also humbled to get the award, because there has been some tough rides past years. Obviously, we have in the end we have returned really well, but I mean, I don't think the FX market has been the place to be last, let's say, 3 years. I mean, if you compare to stocks and crypto, everybody, I mean, we were constantly compared to them, and obviously, I mean, we have had a really strong run this year, while stocks and crypto have totally tanked. So maybe that has contributed to it. But I mean, of course, it's a huge, big thing. It's a big publication, and we are honored to get such an award. And yeah.
And sorry about that. Someone has just subscribed to a tweet. Sorry, just listen to the noise. I will cut it out later.
No.
And I would like also know, in talking also about working in FINBOU, and working yourself as a trader, what kind of mental setup do you think you had to change from being an independent trader to work with FINBOU and starting managing this kind of money that you are nowadays managing? Do you feel it as a challenge from the point of view of the mental setup and the emotions managing?
Well, I don't think I do anymore because everything is sort of pre-planned and predetermined, and I've done it for so long time. And also, our assets actually have declined significantly. We had in 2018 over 30 million in assets, and we had a rocky ride when we launched a usage fund on parallel with the Darwin and the managed accounts. So I don't think the amount of assets has a big impact, but in rear window view, the usage fund, we did a big mistake with the fund. We shouldn't have launched it with only 20 million because the costs are really high for usage fund. It's 500,000 a year to run such a fund. So from the get-go, I was sort of pressurized to make performance to cover the costs even, and that was how it was for 2 years. The usage fund ended up roughly at break even after the cost when it was liquidated, but I have to say that obviously that was really stressful period. Like compared to now, I'm just super relaxed and chill. But back then, in a rear window, we definitely had an impact to decision making because I felt like trading 3 months from liquidation or ending the fund is not exactly the sustainable way of running a fund. And yeah, I think it's a big thing for us that we have now consolidated everything with DARWINEX and Capriva. We have a single account where all trades are received. So we had some problems with fragmentation. Different accounts received different performance, which wasn't that good. I mean, we knew that we can provide still feasible returns for investors, but I didn't like the setup personally. We weren't experienced enough to understand that the fund would have a negative impact on our other accounts. So we took our lessons from that experience, and I feel our setup now is rock solid. And we are in the right place with DARWINEX and Capriva.
I can see it. So obviously, you are having a lot of success, so no doubt you are doing a very good job in this regard. Before entering and talking about your experience in DARWINEX and how did you land it there, I would like to know a little bit about yourself as a trader. What kind of trader are you, and how do you define yourself as a trader?
Well, I don't like to get pigeonholed, I suppose, but I guess if I have to provide a definition, it's something like around, I guess, a fundamental trader with a twist of a fundamental news trader with a twist of global macro thoughts. I mean, sometimes we hold positions for a bit longer and we take views of where the market should go, but that's usually only when we are profitable with the positions.
Mm-hmm. And normally when you are, I mean, you say you are a fundamental trader mainly, but the time frame of your trades is not that long. I mean, normally as a fundamental or value investor, normally trades will take months or of years. Normally, how's the time frame? How long normally your trades last? I mean, are you a few hours, few days trader, or you really are trading for several days, more like a swing trader or more fundamental thing?
Yeah, it really depends on the situation. I think the average holding period is somewhere around 2 to 3 hours, but the whole idea how we trade, we don't make any predictions. We trade when there is a central bank announcement, we trade after the announcement. We read what is being said.
Mm-hmm.
What's the central bank saying about the future of interest rates and what's the current decision about interest rates, and we take that, and if the market reacts inappropriately or there's a mispricing, then we take trades, and usually those mispricings don't last for that long. It's few hours, and if it's usually, I mean, our profitable trades are usually longer because there's asymmetry in that regard, in the sense that we let our profits run, but if we are not right, by definition, if there's a mispricing and we got it right, we need to be right quite fast. So our losing trades last really only to usually from 15 minutes to or even 5 minutes to 15 minutes. So, but of course there is then if we hold trades, I mean for longer, then we have just lower risk and lower stops. So
Okay, see.
that's pretty much the time frame how we trade.
And in this regard, do you feel the market reactions to news has become more random? I mean, as far as I see, no matter if the news is good or bad, market will react however they want. I mean, I cannot expect for a big news, for a good news, the market just to drop or to become bull, because every other week it reacts randomly different. Do you feel has become so random the reaction of the market, or do you really think has some kind of logical reaction behind that?
I think it's an excellent question. I think, there's not always logic with the news. That's when you want to avoid the news. But I think there's always been like that kind of news and we do avoid sort of situations when we think we don't understand what's going on. There's a difference between a mispriced market where we feel that the market is reacting to wrong drivers or is underpricing a signal. And then there's a difference to something that we don't know what's going on, and obviously there goes a lot of work to that. But I don't think the market has become more random. I think the market reacts in a different way during different regimes to the news. So we are now obviously in a new regime that most traders haven't traded. Like the average like sort of lifeline, like how long a trader lasts is like a couple of years. So since now we have an environment with higher interest rates which are rising rapidly, nobody has experienced them themselves. So I think the way we have researched environments where interest rates are rising, and we definitely see lots of parallels. The whole idea how we trade is based on understanding the historical reactions, understanding the current regime, and finding sort of fundamental parallels how the market reacted in the past, and then we can estimate how the market should react to the news. And definitely I do see a lot of logic to the market reactions in the end. And obviously sometimes we are wrong. Usually it's really easy to explain why market reacted how it did in hindsight, but during the trade obviously it's the difficult part.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, obviously, you are approaching the market with the most analytical point of view than probably most of us. So you probably have a proper information and a deeper information about what is happening in that movement that most of us can just show and react with the market. Let's talk about DARWINEX. At the moment, you are the most successful, or as you want to say, one of the most successful traders with a return of 571% and almost 6 million of investors' capital. How did you know DARWINEX, and when and why did you decide to join DARWINEX and create your Darwin?
Well, I think we joined DARWINEX in 2017 when it was not really a big thing and we didn't expect it. We had no expectations about it. Obviously, we saw that the platform is really well done, but there was actually nobody had serious capital under management there. We just thought it's another way of raising capital. But yeah, I mean, then it started getting off very quickly. I think we had 5 million within a year in DARWINEX back in 2018, and obviously then we had our managed accounts growing really fast, and then we had our usage fund growing on parallel, and we kind of had sort of a really strong start. Then we had a drawdown and we had lots of investors going, and I think the whole setup in hindsight had a negative impact to the performance, which we didn't anticipate that we have a fund and managed accounts in parallel running. So I think that made a lot of investors to leave in 2018. And then we kind of have been between 2 to 3 million in DARWINEX since then, I think. And now obviously we are growing really fast again.
How are your beginnings in the platform, and what have you been experiencing along? What kind of changes do you have been experienced along these years in your way of managing your accounts? And I want to know From a neutral point of view, what do you like the most, and what do you think they could improve to make the platform even more interesting for investors?
Well, I think when we started with DARWINEX, DARWINEX has always had this risk manager, this risk engine that is a really nice innovation. Is the reason why it's actually one of the reasons why it's traders are allowed to manage capital under DARWINEX, because the order for entry to the industry is really high, and I think that's just amazing innovation how DARWINEX has done it with allowing the sort of talented retail traders to have access to capital, and the risk engine is behind that. I think it was rebranded risk engine like a few years ago. But in the beginning, I think the risk manager intervened a lot in our trading, and we had ups and downs with the risk manager. But nowadays, it's working really well in sync, and yeah, I think overall, I mean, if I have to think about things to improve, and what I like about, I think they probably would need to add equities, and I know they are working on that. I think that's something that they just really need more exposure, because I speak from the heart. We have had a big fund running. I don't think there is no as rock solid setup as with DARWINEX. Like, we don't pay much in fees. Our costs are really low. I'm super happy we are in the right place with them, in a sense that counterparties are not profiting from us to a similar degree as they were with the fund. So I think that's a crazy good innovation. I think in the long run, DARWINEX is going to change the industry for better, big time.
Totally agree.
And I think that once they add equity traders, and once more sort of smaller to mid-sized hedge fund learn about it, I think you will see an influx of more traders to the platform, and then yeah, I mean, that's my expectation.